Welcome parents to the 2020-2021 school year at Morris Knolls High School. I am Mr. Bradley, the sports and American culture teacher. I am going to walk you through basically what you can expect your son and daughters to learn this year in my class. I shared my screen with you, so I'm just going to point out some important things that you would want to know. And then if you have any questions, you can email me at ebradley@mhrd.org. If you want to ever have a Zoom conference with me, I have a link here that you'll have to ask your son and daughter for on the syllabus. My office hours are from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, Tuesday through Friday. If not, emailing me, again, ebradley@mhrd.org would be the best way to get in contact with me. So I just want to run you through what this course is all about. Americans often consider sports as simply a form of leisure and entertainment, but many of our culture's characteristics and conflicts play out in the field of sports. Using history, we will explore the impact sports has on American culture and in our lives today. This course will investigate the 6 themes that will allow you to gain a new understanding and different perspective of why we look at sports and American culture the way we do. This is not a class about one specific sport. It's individual history, why you play it, or why one player is better than another. I tell the kids if they want to argue about that stuff with their friends, go watch ESPN, but we're not going to do that in here. This is a sociology or maybe a psychology class as well of sports, where we look at the positives and negatives of sports, not just what sports is on a positive level. We look at all aspects of sports. This class is for all students, kids that play sports, kids that are just fans, or even kids that don't like sports, but they want to know why Americans are crazy about their sports. They can take this class too. The 6 units we look over is early American sports, as in the development of sport in America, basketball, football, baseball. When did these sports actually start becoming developed and what impact they had in American culture? We also talk about sports fanaticism. When a regular fan then turns into a sports fanatic, what's the difference? Sports gambling and its economic impact. You have obviously the Supreme Court ruling that sports gambling now is legal. So a lot of the kids now are kind of getting into that aspect of sports, or at least fandom, and with gambling. Unit 3 is performance enhancing drugs and its impact. We look at obviously steroids and its impact on sports, specifically maybe baseball in the 90s into the early 2000s. We take a look at that in more depth. Sports as a bridge to ethical and racial relations. Sports right now is in the center right now of politics. Race is a big issue right now in sports too. So this is a big unit that we cover a lot of different things in. Unit 5 is the political and social economic impact of the Olympic Games on a global scale. So obviously the Olympics is a worldwide event. So how those sports kind of speak to the different political or social things that are happening throughout history in the world. And then lastly is Unit 6, the Title IX unit for our females in here. We're going to talk about how the Title IX amendment kind of changed the game, if you want to call it that, for women in academics and sport. All right, moving on to the assessments for the year. The biggest thing is that I give a variety of different ways to get points. So if your son or daughter isn't good at taking tests, as long as they do the activities, they'll do well in my class. Reviewing the notes, I tell the kids they should always come in prepared for my class. Like in college, if the professor tells you to read, they should read and be prepared for that next class ahead of time. So my notes typically look like this, where the kids can see what we're going to do the next class. There's some PowerPoint slides, some good information here that they can read. Like I said, the idea is for them to prep before they actually come into my class the day before. Grades, again, there's a variety of different ways to get grades, but there's formative and summative assessments. Each unit, there'll be an exam, probably a Google form for the kids to complete. Late work. Kid doesn't turn their work in on time, they can get partial credit or 50% of the point value of that grade. They have until the exam day to turn their partial credit in. If they don't turn anything in and we take the exam, that 0 stays. There's nothing I can really do about it at that point. Any makeup work, a student can email me and set a date or a time of when they want to make up the work. Some expectations when students come into my class or at home. They're expected to be on time. They're expected to have their camera on and have their microphone off. They're also expected to be in a common area. This is something that we're having difficulties with right now as teachers. Some kids are laying in bed. They have their pajamas on. This is a academic environment we're trying to have your son and daughter be in. So they need to be at a desk in their bedroom. the kitchen table, the dining room table, somewhere other than in their bed with their pajamas on. Light, they should have lights on. It shouldn't be 7:30 in the morning and it's pitch black in their room, which has been an issue too. So maybe just a little bit more pushing them into getting up a little earlier and being prepared for their day could help. Checking Google Classroom. Let me walk you through what Google Classroom looks like. My Google Classroom has a ton of good stuff here, and I tell them that they should always check it for work. Basically, every unit for the year is here, and all the stuff we're doing is broken down into each unit as well. Any assignments, any Google Slides, anything that they need for each unit is here for them. I also have a calendar that I put together for every unit for every day, and each thing that we do in class is linked in. So my reasoning for this is so the kid basically can't tell me they didn't know something was due. Everything is here for them on a daily basis. They can go to my Google Slides in the first slide, and they can see what's due tonight for homework. So there's 3 different ways they can get this information to know what's happening in my class on a daily basis. And there's no reason for them not to know what's happening in my class on a day-to-day basis either. So there's no excuses for them not to get their work done. So that's the calendar. I would again tell your son or daughter to make sure that they're looking at the calendar on a daily basis. And the last thing I want to talk about is the menu activity. Since we can't do projects because our periods are only 55 minutes, I'm doing a menu activity, which is very student-centered. Each day they'll have 2 components to complete. Typically the kid can complete the first component in class, maybe even the second one, but if not, then they'll have a little bit of homework to do, maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes at most for my class, and they'll submit this every day they have me as a classwork grade or a homework grade. But if you look really closely at this, they have an option on what they want to learn basically from the choices. That's why it's called a menu activity, because they can kind of choose off the menu of what they're more interested in. So if you kind of scroll through this, there's a lot of different topics that they're going to learn about with a lot of variety of different choices in topics for them to learn. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, they have their exit questions at the very bottom where it's opinion-based, and it basically shows me they're thinking bigger picture about what we're talking about for each unit. So that's about it for my class. Biggest thing is, again, if you have any questions about anything going on or just want to check in, see how your son and daughter is doing at home or in school, you can email me at ebradley@mhrd.org. I hope you enjoy your back to school night, and I look forward to working with your son and daughter this year. Thank you.